we going to walk out of this terrible lockdown on the 21st of June, do you think? What's your gut? You're an experienced journalist.
Well, let's not trust our gut. Let's trust the doctor, Dr Hilary.
Well, let me ask a simple question back to you, and that is, why would we ease restrictions when things are getting worse? Does that make any sense to anybody?
But are they getting worse?
Yes, they are.
Worse in the sense that more people aren't going to hospital?
Well, we have more cases. The week before last...
But if the cases don't lead to hospitalisation...
Well, we are seeing hospitalisations. We may not be seeing so many. We're not seeing that big peak in hospitalisations and deaths, but we're still having our NH staff work extremely hard to keep hospitalisations down and to keep people from dying. ICU units are pretty busy again, and some experts are saying that we're already in a third wave. So my question is, why would we ease restrictions right now when things are getting worse, when we've got a new variant which is causing huge problems in India, but big problems here as well?
OK, so the corollary then, Dr Hilary, is how long does this go on for? Because if we're going to continue to have infections and we're going to continue to have new variants, and the vaccines don't mean that we get our freedoms back, how long does this continue for? Well,
it continues for as long as it takes, really. I mean, we have to get things under control because we think about all the staff that are working, so hard in NHS hospitals across the country, and many are suffering from burnout, taking personal risks, wearing PPE for many, many hours a day. Think about all the people suffering from cancer who can't get treatment, all the people with heart disease who can't get treatment. Until we get this under control, then we are going to have problems going forward.
Yeah, what do you think
so we're going to live with it.
Looks like?
It means living with this. It means vaccinating the entire population and having booster doses. It means continuing with social distancing for the time being, with mask wearing and hand sanitising, and being cautious. Because if we're not, we're going back to another wave. We're going to see more variants. We're going to see more hospitalisations.
But, Hilary, it's going to be months and months before the entire country is vaccinated. Are you suggesting that we stay like this until the autumn?
Well, this is not something... I mean, I know it's a nuisance for people.
It's more than a nuisance.
People want to go on holiday, but holidays are luxuries.
No, but Richard mentions losing jobs. You know, at some point furlough will finish.
Yes, I understand that. And jobs need to be protected too, but safely. And employers have done a huge amount to make workplaces safe. A lot of people are working from home. Everyone's doing what they can to keep the economy going.
So if you were Prime Minister, you would be saying in a statement at some point in the next, say, 48 hours, sorry, everybody, but you're stuck with this for the foreseeable. We're going to be living like this through the summer, into the autumn, possibly as long as Christmas, until every last person who's willing to be jabbed has had the jab. I mean, that's a big ask.
It is a big ask. It's a pandemic. You know, this is the biggest health threat for 100 years in terms of infections. So we have to take it seriously.
But not now, because the vaccine has broken the link between infections and hospital. It has. I mean, that's
yes, it has. It's been magnificent in terms of its success, but we still have a quarter of the population who haven't had one jab and half who haven't had a second jab. So there are still lots of vulnerable people out there just now. Down the line, things are going to be a lot better. If we could just wait a few more months, then we'll have almost everybody vaccinated. The target is the end of July, but we'll have all adults vaccinated.
Most of the people who haven't had a double jab are very young. Most people over 50, most people in the risk group, people like me, they have had their... I've had my double jab ages ago.
Yeah, but we're seeing younger people now with infection.
But they don't get that ill, do they?
Younger people don't get that ill. Not compared to the vulnerable group. But we've got more children now being hospitalised, not just with the infection, but with long COVID. And if you look what happened in India, they're very worried about something called multi-system inflammatory disease. They're getting lots of hospitalisations in children who've recovered from COVID and have now got this inflammatory disease. Now, that's largely due to the Delta variant that originated in India. If we're complacent about this and let that run rampant through the UK, we're back to square one. All I'm saying is be a little bit more patient. I know it's been 18 months. Everyone wants to go on holiday. Everyone wants their jobs.
We're not...
But we've got to take this seriously.
Well, people want their... You know, they want to be able to operate normally again.
Sure.
I don't think it's about people desperately wanting to go abroad on holiday. I think people understand there has to be some sort of restriction on that. But when you say we're going to be back to square one... That's not entirely true, is it? Because we have got the vaccination. We are not going to be back to the point where we see hundreds and hundreds
No, you're
of
right, Susanna. It is much better controlled now. However, there will be new variants. We are seeing people who respond in an immune system way to the antibodies created by the original COVID infection. There's still a lot about this virus we don't understand and that we don't know. It's changing all the time. It's changing so fast that that's why we've got the situation in Portugal now with people scrambling to come home, because things change quickly. They change quickly in India.
Well,
they could change quickly here.
That was a political change. It wasn't suddenly that Portugal, they were dropping like flies with this thing. They weren't having a second or third wave. You're right, things changed, but that was a political change. That was a decision made by this government, which has been roundly condemned by the Portuguese, who say, hey, you've got more COVID than we've got.
Well, it's a government that acted too late twice before.
Yes, but Hilary, you say it changes, but it didn't change medically, it changed politically. That was a political decision. In terms of the vaccine being able to deal with the new variants, at the moment it does, we know that. It's, you know, the hard evidence coming in from out there shows that it is working.
To a lesser extent.
The double jab.
Yeah.
But now we actually have 4 different technologies in terms of 4 vaccines to deal with the virus. It's not going to be that difficult to adjust vaccines, is it? Because we now know how to make them. We've got the plan. So if a variant were to come along that was resistant to the existing vaccines, it would just take a tweak. And I've heard Pfizer saying they could do it in a week.
Well, I haven't heard them say that. I think that's supremely confident. I mean, it's not quite as easy as that. Tweaking an mRNA vaccine is not all that easy. In theory, it can be done, but at the moment it's a theory.
Because we have the tools now. I mean, this time last year we didn't have the tools.
We've got the technology. We've had the technology for these kind of vaccines for 10 years. And yes, you can change the direction of the vaccine to target different proteins on the spike protein of the virus. Yes, you can. But it means rolling out that vaccine, producing millions and millions of doses, takes time. And then you've got to get them around the country. So it's not quite as easy as just tweaking it and there it is, boom, it's magic.
Okay.
I just think, a little bit more caution, a little bit more patience, and we'll be able to achieve all we want to achieve without sacrificing NHS, without sacrificing people's lives from indirect harms, from the cancers and the heart disease that isn't being treated. People are desperate to see their GP. They're desperate to get the referral that they have for their potential cancer. People are worried. Mental health is suffering. Well, look, and that's all important, and you can't ignore that, but you've got to do it all at the same time.